And we're live. Yep. Which means hello everyone, and welcome to the X-Pound. This is another, or slash like final rendition of the Monday Night Wars special that we're doing. Joining me for this one is Marcus Shadow.
Hello.
James Phoenix.
Hello.
And I'm your host, Chriz, aka the Mole, but you already knew that. So let's cut to the Monday Night Wars documentary. It's a multi-part series available now on the WWE Network, looking back on the war between Monday Night Raw and WCW Nitro, which eventually led into SmackDown and Thunder. But obviously it's the Monday Night War, so it's Nitro v Raw. And from this perspective, we had three very different opinions. I believe Marcus watched Raw during the Monday Night Wars.
Correct.
I believe, yeah. Jim got into it around Invasion. So really, so about after war.
Yep, right around the end of the war.
And I watched WWE and WCW constantly. So three very different opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
Did you get two TVs and put them next to each other so you could watch both?
No, it's called a VHS recorder.
Ah.
You record one and you watch the other.
But on your TV have to be on the channel you're recording?
It didn't used to.
Ah.
It used to be you fed the satellite through there and you could record something and then you could watch the other channel.
Ah, fair enough.
Yep, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
That's ironic. That's ironic you did that, considering one of those two shows was pre-recorded.
Yep. Which, yeah, the Monday Night Wars. I don't know. Did you guys want to recap what actually happened, or should we just say see our previous stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. If you want our opinions on, the individual videos and know what actually happened during the Monday Night War and what these videos covered, feel free to check out our previous videos on the Monday Night Wars, where we cover 5 episodes per video, and you can see that there. I think this one we should just talk about our overall impressions of the series as a whole. I assumed we were reviewing basically the series.
Yeah, we are. Which, yeah, if you tune into our previous videos, I will say there is one that's hosted by Marcus Shadow, which, that'll put butts in the seats.
Well, come on, I'm giving away our results.
Fair enough. Fair enough, Eric Moloff.
Yep, it worked. But yeah.
Yes, you're supposed to give away the results before it airs, not after it's up.
We don't know that. There's no tags attached to it. How are people going to find them? But it's a case of, the Monday Night Wars. It began pretty much once Bischoff took over WCW. Well, definitely, because before that, WCW was seen as like a southern promotion. He took it to Providence, made it rise up. There was mistakes along the way, and then eventually AOL decided we're just going to sell the company regardless of whether or not it's making us money, regardless of how it's our highest rated show. Fuck it, we're just going to sell it. Which means the end of the war is actually anticlimactic. Yeah, because neither actually bankrupted the other one. Yeah, WWE sort of bought WCW, but that's only because AOL decided to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
Which, but as our newbie for this one, Jim, what was your overall, I mean newbie as in newbie to the experience type thing, what did you think of watching the Monday Night Wars unfold before your eyes for the first time?
It was pretty good. I didn't realize that, I recognized a lot of the faces. I knew a lot of the guys from that were around right around when I tuned in. But there were a lot of aspects of the war that I simply didn't know that much about, particularly the WCW side, because when I did tune in, I was really only watching WW, then F, now E. So I really didn't know that much about the WCW side of things, how that show proceeded, what the format was, about the guys on that show, the management of that show, and about the guys jumping over, guys like National jumping over there and everything else. So I really learned a lot about WCW from watching this, and also about how the two companies viewed each other and how they each approached the ratings war for Monday Night Supremacy. So it was really interesting to see both that and all the different aspects of different how every aspect kind of affected it, from the variety of the roster to the powerful world title picture leaders to the tag teams to the mid card to the divas to the cruiserweights to just everyone, to the management, to just everyone involved, and just how the whole thing played out. It kind of makes me wish I had been watching from earlier on.
Nice. And how about you, Marcus? Because I know you hadn't really experienced much of the WCW side.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see the WCW side. Like Jim, I knew most of the like big name wrestlers, like DDP, Booker T, stuff like that, and of course the ones that had jumped from WWF, Diesel and Razor Ramon, and didn't realize Pac had jumped, but fair enough. Hogan,
jump back.
obviously. And then jump back, yeah. And then of course the legends like Hogan and Bret Hart and Macho Man and stuff. So I knew about them. Already I knew who they were, but it was interesting to see what precipitated the jumps from both sides, and it was also interesting to see some of the earlier WWF stuff, because I came in the middle of the Monday Night War, right around the time Triple H took over DX. That's kind of when I started watching, so I wasn't really privy to like the Montreal Screwjob and Shawn Michaels and stuff like that. I didn't get to see Shawn Michaels until after he came back years later. But it was pretty cool to see all that stuff, and I think the videos were put together fairly well. The production values were pretty high, and you could tell they put great care into the presentation of the videos. So so I'm assuming like they gave it to like the video package people and was like, here, make vignettes, because it almost feels like that's who put it together, was people who do all those video packages on like the Titantrons and stuff like that, which generally speaking are usually pretty good. However, yeah, kind of biased, but we expected that, because as we've said multiple times throughout these reviews, the winner of the war gets to write the history.
Yep. But yeah, my opinion is I've been watching it since, God, it's been fucking years now. One of my first matches I watched was Undertaker debuting. That's how long ago I've been watching wrestling. That's pretty a long time. But
It is.
Yeah, and he's been my favorite since. Yay! But it's a case that for me, at first it started okay, but then by the end of it, the sheer biasness, and it's like only complete marks would be like, oh yeah, we're gonna believe everything WWE blindly tell us. Despite the fact that they clearly edited footage. Example, like the Jericho one, where they show the crowd signs for people cheering Jericho at that exact moment. It's weird that some of those crowd signs kept swap. When you looked at the crowd signs, a load of them were from different pay-per-views. When they scrolled through the audience, he wasn't that big. And they're trying to make out like he was. It's like, no, that also kind of disrespects the fact he became awesome in WWE, but which is a side product of that, but they're doing that to hurt WCW. It's like, boo, this sucks in WCW. Now watch WWE do something similar. Boo, WCW raided ECW's talent. WWE acquired ECW talent. WCW poached people from WWE. WWE acquired people from WCW. It's like, what the fuck? It's hypocritical, it's marky, and it's a little horrible to watch just because of that. And some of it was retreads and stuff like we mentioned. But
yeah,
for me, that was, I don't know, for me as someone that's seen both sides of the war, and I know it sounds weird to say it in this context, but as someone who lived through the war, that's why I'm a war vet now. As someone that lived through the war, basically, it seems almost, I don't know, it seems almost like a completely watered down version, like they have to paint themselves as the cartoony superhero, and the other ones as the super villains that could do nothing right, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
No.
I can agree with that.
Also, if there are any war veterans listening, we here at the X-Fans do not condone the comments of Chriz the Mole.
To be fair, I did start by saying it was weird, and I meant Wars in Monday Night Wars. Boom.
Yeah, so are you really a veteran of it? Not like you were wrestling in the Monday Night Wars.
I did attend the crowd. I did attend some of the pay-per-views and stuff like the UK specific ones, and therefore was on TV during it. So, nah.
Fair enough. Does that include the one where the corporate ministry ruined every match?
It did.
Lovely.
Yep.
I will say though one knock against the presentation of the videos, these vignettes, is the fact that at least as I continued to watch them, getting to like the middle of the videos, toward the end of the videos, I realized, yeah, they became less and less original about the content within the video because it felt like the same shit over and over again. They kept using like the same like a lot of the same footage and a lot of the same interviews or interview clips, and it's like you're covering a different topic. You could have shown something else, but no, it's like, and especially the beginning of each video, because they open each video with talking about the war and how it started and stuff. I'm like, you did a whole video covering this. Do you really need to keep reiterating it every fucking video?
I think the purpose is they're acting like it's a show, and because at the time this was all airing, the WWE Network was kind of new. They were operating on the assumption that people who were on the WWE Network and might have tuned this on because they happened to be what was on might not have watched the previous part. So they wanted to make sure that you could turn into any given part and know exactly what was going on.
Yeah, except that doesn't make any logical sense because WWE Network's an on-demand service. You'd be an idiot not to start at the beginning.
I was going to say, it's an on-demand service, but when this first launched, it is worth noting it was like weekly or every 2 weeks they'd post one of the parts, like the WWE Countdown series where Series 2 is just ended right now. It wasn't like you suddenly went onto network and there was all the parts. We've had that luxury, but that's like sort of like, I don't know, watching a box set, say, of, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z. You're going to get at the beginning, you're going to get previously on the last exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z, despite the fact you just watched it on DVD because it was presented as a show for a weekly format, which is what they went for. It's not like Netflix binge watching style, if that makes sense, because they're running this like a TV show. So I can understand that aspect of it. Yes, some of the topics were complete retreads. Like some of them was like half of the previous episodes put into like another topic, and it got to the point where it's like you could have covered all of this in like half the amount of time, I feel.
Yeah.
Like here's an NWO video, here's a DX video, now here's a video on the Click.
Yep.
Pretty much.
It's also funny, which, like I mentioned, the NWO video, they hid a lot of stuff with the NWO video.
Like what?
Oh.
Like a load of the stuff that the NWO did first and how good it was, they literally, because it was like an hour video, they ran through the good part fast to just go to the bad stuff. Like they didn't mention in as much detail as they should have. Like, for example, when they did the Arn Anderson parody video, they didn't mention in great detail how DX doing the Nation of Domination later on was basically a complete carbon copy ripoff. But if WCW did anything at all that was just slightly like WWE, they couldn't stop harping on about that for like 10-15 minutes. It's like, okay. We're getting the fanboy Mark approach to this. I mean, it's pretty sad when the NWO DVD that's come out, there's been a few, there's been Back in Black and there's been the Revolution. The Revolution one has the best NWO documentary and storytelling of the NWO, and it's a bonus feature on the Blu-ray, and that's the Legends of Wrestling Roundtable with Kevin Nash sat there. So you actually get more of the accurate stuff, because you get some of the WWE people around there telling their side, but you also get Nash telling the actual WCW stuff and talking about when it was good and all this stuff, which, yeah, they don't do that a lot in the actual documentary, which made me go, oh, okay. That happened. They also made weird choices, like they took, I'm guessing, footage from elsewhere, because why the hell would you interview Undertaker for like 2 seconds for like a couple of videos and not have him talk about his own fucking career during the one that was about his career during the
Yeah.
little portion. It's like, what the fuck? He's right there.
Yeah, pretty much. And the even more weird thing is, as you pointed out, because you've seen the DVD, I haven't. He speaks on his own DVD, but they don't ask him to speak for this, really?
No, I mentioned he spoke on his DVD of "This Is My Yard" when he was biker taken, was doing more stuff. That was years ago. However, with the outfit he looked at and a lot of the stuff he mentioned, some of that was it looks like it was from the Triple H My Kingdom Come DVD, and from the 50 years of wrestling and the history of WrestleMania video, because he seemed to be in the same outfit and the same pose for all three of them, and now this.
Which is fair enough, but he still talked about himself. They couldn't at least just use that footage that they had in the archive? They were too lazy to dig that out of the archive?
What? They wouldn't use archived footage for oh wait, they did multiple times.
To me, if they had that in the archive, that's lazy.
Yeah, it's like, to me, some of it was lazy as well, because some of it was really horribly placed.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned the NWO stuff. How weird was it when you watched the NWO one or the Click one, where you saw 2000 and I think it was 3. You saw 2003 Scott Hall, who's still old, but you saw like middle-aged Scott Hall with black hair. Suddenly cut to a lot older Scott Hall, like a 10-year older Scott Hall with grey hair in a completely different location. and it's like one after the other. It's like, wait, what happened here? You just rapidly aged. How long have we been watching this?
Though I have to say, I think I assume they did those interviews with him like after the Hall of Fame ceremony last year or whatever. But I think it's kind of cool that after that they bothered to me. They said, "Hey, we're going to be doing these documentaries, vignettes, documentaries on WCW and the NWO. Would you mind saying some stuff?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay, sure."
I'm not sure if that was then.
Because it looks like how Scott Hall looks like now. That's why I said that.
It does, but like last year when the NWO Revolution DVD came out, I think some of those may have been from that.
Ah, fair enough.
And then his 2003 one is definitely from the NWO Back in Black.
Fair enough.
That's why I own both of them.
I'd be surprised if you didn't.
I got pissed when my NWO DVD got destroyed.
It got destroyed?
My Back in Black DVD got destroyed.
Ooh.
It basically fell down. As I put it on top of this DVD player in what was the living room at the time. It fell down the counter, like behind the TV, down this slot, and we couldn't get it for the longest time. And when we finally did, because it was like a built-in one with bricks and stuff, so you couldn't pull it out. By the time we finally got up the ward later on, when I was changing the living room to be upstairs and all that stuff, basically, yeah, the DVD was completely ass ruined. I was like, But then I got really lucky.
Oh? And
I went into a DVD shop over here called HMV, and they had tagged classics. The NWO Back in Black DVD, and I was like, and it came with a bonus disc consisting of the VHS tapes I already owned of Razor Ramon and Diesel's best matches. I was like, wait, what? Okay, purchasing that. I was like, yes.
And did you take the disc and put it into your original case to make it look legit?
Nope.
Oh.
I didn't see the point because I don't mind the tagged classic grey stuff, and yeah, if I did that, I would lose the disc for the bonus stuff because it wouldn't match up. But I like that. A fun little tidbit for people listening.
There you go.
Cool.
That's fun.
Yeah, I will say as the videos went on, despite the fact that I think most of the videos were made pretty well. The earlier ones were made better than the later ones, I think. But as the videos went on, you could kind of see the decline in quality. Some of the videos were just like, yeah, you guys didn't put much effort into this one, did you?
I think that's probably because there was a giant decline in the war. It started off great. They covered all the stuff from the very beginning, which was great at the time. Then by the end of the war, it's like the Russo era and stuff. It's like,
hmm But I mean, like, as you know, people who have listened to our reviews might remember, we did when we talked about like the Divas video. It's like that's your tribute to the Divas of the Monday Night War, really? It felt like they didn't put much effort into that one. It's just like there was like maybe 2 divas they wanted to talk about, and they're like, well, we can't just do a video on those 2 divas. Fuck it, let's just throw in a bunch of divas that maybe had some impact on the war, but aren't necessarily ones we want to talk about. And you could tell which ones were kind of in there as the afterthought, which I'm like, that's not good. Some of the videos I felt were that way, where they wanted to cover a specific thing, and then everything else around it was put in as like fluff and afterthought because they needed something to fill the time.
Yep, it's like I said with the Divas one. The Divas one, I don't know if Jim would agree with this, but the Divas one, in my opinion, was one of the most hypocritical.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look, WCW has Nitro girls. Boo, they're using women for sexual objectification with no merit. Now go over here and watch our gravy pool matches. What? That happened.
Mm-hmm.
WCW had some great female matches and some good female wrestlers, and the Nitro girls that they mentioned were actually really cleverly used. They were just basically cheerleaders, like the halftime at American football. Well, I'm guessing Vince doesn't know how to make football successful, or the XFL would still be a thing.
Yeah. I also find it kind of funny that you said they were hypocritical like that, because in the video itself, it's mentioned, I think Bischoff is the one that mentions it, that the Nitro Girls came about as a countermeasure of WCW to WWF's, gravy bowl matches and stuff.
It was, but to be fair with that, that's also the same thing where they're telling us anytime like Bischoff would mention that once, and there'd be like 10 other superstars telling you that, yeah, he's completely full of shit, and that they were just sexist and shit, and no one cared. Pretty sure Shawn Michaels cared.
Yeah, and in all fairness, we know WWE's biased against the Nitro Girls because look what happened when they finally got one on their show. Chris Jericho punched her in the face.
Yep.
But overall, like I said, with the documentaries, I don't think it wasn't too bad. It's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. It just felt more propaganda, for lack of a better term, than it should have been.
I can agree with that.
I mean, especially considering it's on the WWE Network. It's for the WWE Network. It's for the fans who are likely to have bought the WWE Network, i.e. more the hardcore WWE fans. It's for the network that's telling you to go and watch the WCW pay-per-views and Nitros as a hook for basically for getting the network in itself, and then they're going to tell you that all of the product was shit. For most of it, it's like, come on.
Also, I also put to you, Mole, I don't know if you realize this. This came out 2014, right? It came out throughout the entirety of last year.
Yep.
So.
And some this year, possibly.
Maybe 1 or 2. But this is the company who's trying to, like you said, trying to tell you that WCW is shit and that their superstars were shit and stuff. Who, in 2014's Royal Rumble, one of their big surprise returns was DDP.
Who had worked for WWE?
He did, but he came from WCW.
He did. He came from WCW. In WCW, which this is slightly off topic, but watch our previous videos. We tend to do that. But DDP, he was in WCW. He was the people's champion. He was a great, I don't know what you'd call it, like role model, and he was always standing up to the bad guys, and he was doing all this stuff. He came to WWE, and what did they do? They turned him into the stalker of Undertaker's wife. What the fuck?
Yeah, that was weird.
That's like one of the shittest things they ever did to WCW. It's like, come on, it's DDP, the people's champion. Nope, sorry, he's a stalker. Why? Why couldn't you just mention that he's you didn't have to mention the People's Champion because I get it. WWE had their own one at The Rock, but they could have done better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was all hyped up when it was announced DDP was coming on. I was like, ooh, Diamond Dallas Page. I kind of want to see him do stuff because I'd seen, like I said, I'd seen 1 or 2 episodes of Nitro here and there, so I knew who he was, and I'd see him do stuff. I mean, there is a reason the Diamond Cutter is my favorite finishing move of all time. But I was like, ooh, I'm actually going to get to see him like fully wrestle because I hadn't seen like full matches or anything with him. And he comes in and he does that. I'm like, that doesn't seem like DDP to me.
Yeah, it's even worse when you're watching it and you're like, okay, who's stalking Undertaker's wife? Who's stalking Undertaker's wife? And then suddenly, boom, it's DDP. I'm like, that's how this guy's that's how he's debuting.
It's me, it's DDP.
That was more afterwards when he was the happy, smiley DDP.
Yeah.
But
Don't
which
worry,
was so much
Undertaker.
better.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Undertaker. He's stalking your wife. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
And don't worry, when the Big Show destroys the Alliance at Invasion, you won't have to see me or my big fake white teeth ever again.
Yep. Which, yeah, it says it all.
That was the one good thing about that was Big Show dressed up as DDP. That was hilarious.
To be fair, DDP has this smiley, happy, it's me, it's DDP. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That's better than stalking Undertaker's wife.
Yes.
DDP had always been a respectable character. That made him one of the most slyest, nastiest characters ever. And the whole motivation behind it of Undertaker, I want you to make me famous. He's DD fucking P. He's famous.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Also, the whole smiley thing, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. That's more in line with who DDP actually is as a person. Because, let's see, what does he do now? Oh, right, he's a motivational speaker.
DDPyoga.com.
Yeah, and he does. So it's more who he actually was or would become. Maybe, obviously heightened and cranked up a couple notches, but that's more who Diamond Dallas Page actually is. So it was okay. And I think that's why that gimmick worked. Because they're basically like, so you're this kind of guy, huh? Yeah. Why don't you do that for your gimmick? Huh? Yeah, just crank it up a couple notches.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like I mentioned, WWE treated WCW really badly, in my opinion, since acquiring it. They've treated ECW with more respect, which is bad, in my opinion. Not because ECW doesn't deserve it, but I mean WCW does deserve respect. It's like, after the invasion, when Booker T debuted, like Sting himself had mentioned as one of the reasons he wasn't coming to WWE for the longest fucking time, Booker T appears on TV, and the first thing they do with one of the interviews with him is has The Rock turn and say, who the hell are you? And I know he did that to WWE people, but that was when they were established. He did that to him, and then quickly they just jobbed him the fuck out. It's like, he was their world champion coming over. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, is it bad? Because I finally, watching this, I did learn something very important watching this Monday Night War thing the last year I was doing there.
Goldberg's an idiot?
Well, no, we already knew that. I saw WrestleMania 20, remember?
I was there when he punched his hand through a window and injured himself.
Nice. Anyway, what I remember, I didn't realize, because I remember when Booker T came over, he started this feud with The Rock, and this is probably bad, but this is how it was portrayed to me, because I know what he said, but I never really knew it, because of the way it seemed to me. When Booker T started his feud with The Rock, he started his feud with The Rock by saying, well, one of the things he was brought up on is the fact, you use this move, The Rock Bottom. Well, I think that's just a rip off of my move, The Bookend. And here's the sad part: at the time, I thought Booker T was bullshitting and made up a move just for the sake of pissing The Rock off. I didn't know he actually had that move until I watched this, and I saw him use it. I saw him use it in the last one when he won the world title. He won it with The Bookend. I'm like, oh, that was a real move. Holy shit.
Yeah. Which, like I said, they just treated that whole thing bad, I felt, especially with I understand why they did with the invasion with some of it, but some of those people should have been more credible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think one thing that kind of hurt it, though, and kind of put WWF into the position of having to do some of that stuff, is the fact that they didn't have WCW's, big talent, because they all had those damn guaranteed contracts. Now, what they did with Booker T, obviously, and yeah, they should have treated the WCW superstars more, or not more, but better. But not having that big name WCW talent to draw on, like Sting, like Goldberg, like the former WWF talent, like the NWO, stuff like that, I think, hurt how they would be presented.
Oh,
And I also heard that originally, the original plan with the invasion was they were going to bring WCW superstars in and have them all be the faces, get them over with the fans so they could then incorporate them into the roster better. However, because WWE fans are fucking retarded, when the WCW superstars came over, they got booed the fuck out of the building. So WWF had no choice but to make them the heels and to make them look like shit. Because it's like, well, shit, we can't push them now because the fans don't like any of them.
To be
so they were
fair,
they had nothing they could do with them.
To be fair, that's not the crowd being retarded. Look at it this way. Like you yourself mentioned, you watch WWE religiously. There was a few people, but there was some people like me who watched both. But there was most people only watch WWE or they only watch WCW. So now you got an arena full of only WWE people, and out comes WCW people like Booker T, who puts Austin, the face of WWE, through an announce table. That's not basically, oh look, here comes a face to save us from some heels or something like that. That's, look at these outsiders trying to take over, similar to the NWO thing, of look at these outsiders who aren't WWE superstars, and look at what they're doing to our heroes. That makes it instantly, you want to boo them.
True.
That was more WWE, we're idiots. There was no way that would have worked with them being face. That wouldn't have worked.
I will say I was disappointed with Booker T though, because when they were coming over, when Booker T specifically was going to be coming over and they were going to debut him, Richter, who had been a pretty faithful WCW watcher, he watched both shows, but after I met him, we pretty much watched WWE mostly. He preferred WWE, I think, but he knew the WCW stuff, what was going on back to the Monday Night War. He knew their superstars, and he watched their stuff occasionally, and again VHS, like you mentioned. But he was like, "Oh, cool! The world heavyweight champion Booker T is coming over. You got to watch this guy. This guy's awesome. He's really good, and he's their champion, so obviously he's good." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And he comes over, and what WWE did with him and to him, I was like, "Okay, that's not that impressive."
Yeah, it's like it annoyed the crap out of me watching it, where you had like NWO come over, because this is covered in the post-time invasion a little bit. But you have NWO come over, and you have Austin take out all three members and like tie up Scott Hall in a chair, wheel him round, and make him a joke. It's like they're meant to be at least a threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't need to keep super scenerying it like Austin's famous for. But or how about Booker T, which is another Austin one? Booker T, world heavyweight champion. One of his most famous part in any WWE stuff that's not WCW, anything in WWE that's most famous for is either A, dressing like a king and going, "All hail King Booker," which did get him over, but the other thing he's most famous for, and probably more famous for, is Austin beating the shit out of him in a supermarket and hitting him with food while making puns.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, the world champion slapped around like that, and it's like, and then during this they're saying, yeah, WWE had no superstars at the caliber of The Rock or Austin. It's like, or Triple H. It's like they had Booker T, they had DDT, or they had DDP and stuff like that. Yeah, they didn't have all of them. I'm not expecting every single person who came over to be as credible as The Rock and Austin and stuff, but their main eventers should have been.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
And it's like, hell, if you wanted to do the whole, oh my god, people are going to turn, like when Austin turned on the invasion and stuff like, turned the invasion and joined WCW, it should have been someone like Jericho or Big Show, one of the ones who famously came over from WCW. Yeah, Jericho may not have liked being representing WCW, but who gives a shit? He's not representing WCW. He's representing heel stable at this moment in time for the purpose of a storyline. His ego would probably allow him to do that. And it's like, surely Jericho or Big Show would have made more sense than Austin. Because don't get me wrong, he was in WCW, but yeah, that makes no sense.
I think they did that as kind of a Hail Mary, again, to try to get WCW to be the faces, and they're like, okay, everything we're trying isn't working, let's put the biggest face we have in the company on their team.
That definitely wasn't the case, because the way he did it was he then shook hands with Paul Heyman and Stephanie McMahon, who the crowd hated, and this was right after Austin had gone through his more pussified era when he was wearing like cowboy hats and singing to Vince. But like I said, someone like Jericho, I say Jericho more than Big Show. Jericho would have made perfect sense. And it's not because I think Jericho should only be known as WCW. But hell, look at from Invasion all the way up to SummerSlam when it ended. He was in a constant feud-ish with The Rock, who was in WWE. They could have easily split those two up, and by putting Jericho in WCW and made Jericho still have Jericho fight The Rock like people were building the anticipation for.
True.
It's like it's weird Kurt Angle jumped to the Alliance and all that. Oh god.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much it's everything when they conveniently didn't mention the fact that when the Monday Night War ended at that Invasion pay-per-view, when they had basically a Survivor Series tag match, SummerSlam, when they had
Survivor Series.
That's what I said, Survivor Series.
You said Invasion.
Survivor Series. Sorry, I forgot they continued it. At Survivor Series, when they ended the storyline with the Invasion storyline with this big 5-on-5-man tag match, Booker T was the only actual WCW guy on the Invasion team.
Yes, he was. Now, I will tolerate the ECW ones because, okay, fair enough, they wanted to include ECW. That was a pretty clever way of including more superstars. However, yeah, Booker T was the only actual one, and that was stupid. And in itself, the mistake Jim just made then is proof this angle was stupid. The pay-per-view was called Invasion. That should have ended it, but nope, Austin turns heel and they drag it out for a couple more months until Survivor Series. It's like, what the fuck? That's like dragging out the Clone Wars, not Clone Wars, dragging out the Clone Saga in Spider-Man. When it was like, okay, it's pretty good, it's watchable, it's enjoyable. Okay, let's just drag it out. It's like, oh, fuck off.
More clones, yeah. We need more clones.
Yep. I'm surprised Jim didn't take the opportunity then to sing I Think I'm a Clone Now.
I don't know that song.
It's one of the parody songs where I believe has been falsely credited to Weird Al over the years, like most of the parodies on the internet, where it's like that song of I think I'm alone now. Instead it's I think I'm a clone now. There's always two of me just a walking around.
Okay then.
Yeah, that got referenced, people.
Wow.
Yeah. But I think, like I said, personally, I think we should probably wrap this up a bit, though, and give our overall thoughts and review score. And we will start with... Let's start with Marcus.
All right. Well, like I said, I thought most of the stuff was put together pretty well. I felt there was a lot of repetition, but I guess I can understand why. With the way it was, the series was designed. Overall, despite the fact that it was, biased, especially in the later years, it was really biased. But despite that fact, what content is actually in there is pretty good and pretty informational, especially if you're a more recent fan who maybe have only heard of the Monday Night Wars in passing, who never, as Mole put it, lived through it, never watched that stuff. But, if you're interested to know the history of the business in that respect, this is actually a pretty good series to watch. I would augment it with the other DVDs though, and I do plan to augment it with the other ones because it sounds like there's more accuracy in some of the other ones, and you'll learn some other things that these ones didn't cover because
Yeah.
of bias.
Yeah, I think what would help WWE in the Monday Night Wars in general would be if Call of Duty was to make Call of Duty Monday Night Warfare. I think that's a game would totally help.
Ha! That'd be awesome.
That would be.
Make it happen, Activision. Make it happen. But yeah, like I said, if you haven't seen any of these things before, I'd give it a watch. It's worth it if you're a hardcore fan, if you're a wrestling fan, WWE fan. As a whole, I'll give this series. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Yeah.
And fair enough. That was a 7 out of 10. And over to Jim for whatever rating he wants to use and give.
Fair enough. Like I said, overall, I learned a lot about the Monday Night Wars here. There was obviously some bias involved in it, but it was still really well put together. The variety of interviews they pulled from all kinds of different DVD sets, the clips of the matches and the events, talking it up. It was just really, really well put together, and I learned a lot that I didn't know about wrestling history by watching it, which was really cool. I would close agree with Marcus. It's probably worth a 7, although I'm going to be honest, I'm going to move it up to a 7.5 because they got Goliath to narrate it.
That was cool too, but he narrates most of the WWE stuff.
He narrates some. He narrates some. Not most, but some.
Okay, well, he narrates quite a bit of it, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah, and my rating would be, as people know, I normally go with instead of a point system, I normally go with like watch, rent, avoid, or whatever. For this one, I'm gonna give it a avoid and watch like Legends of Wrestling roundtables because they have a Monday Night War one. Watch some of the other stuff and learn about the Monday Night Wars that way. Only watch this if you're basically a complete WWE mark that's just going to believe anything they tell you. Because otherwise it's poorly executed, extremely biased, and yeah, like we said, a lot of these videos don't need to exist, so it's a huge waste of time getting through a load of these. So yeah, I'm going to put this firmly on the avoid pile for most wrestling fans. And yeah, I was your host, Chriz, aka The Mole. Thank you to my guests.
You're welcome.
And I believe the other two in this, not me, are going to be reviewing this week the Flintstones WWE crossover Stone Age SmackDown.
Yes.
Indeed.
That will be part of the Shadows More. And also stay tuned, of course, because we have the WrestleMania special for X marks. Then, even after WrestleMania, we still have some good WrestleMania stuff because this is our WrestleMania season. We have Hall of Fame's going to be reviewed and discussed. We have a punch starter where people are going to pitch WWE games next month. So stay tuned. Lots of wrestling content coming from the X-Pound. Peace.